Really growing up.
Yeah, chair.
I added a checkbox. I quit when I was going into high school. I think she stayed much longer.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning. Welcome to our November meeting. Hope everyone is doing well. We will go ahead and do roll call with Senator Moran.
Senator Adams.
Here.
Senator Bartley.
Here.
Senator Chadwick. Senator Finn.
Present.
Senator Hammond. Senator Henry. Senator Hess.
Yes, here.
Senator Hopper is out. Senator Jenkins. Senator Johnson. Senator Jones. Senator Hawkins, I saw her on Zoom. Senator Minton. Senator Ray.
Present.
Senator Robertson is absent. Senator Spitler. Senator Vanderpool. Present. Senator Vincent.
Present.
Senator Wright. And Senator Wyatt. Keep us all on Zoom.
Present.
Thank you. That's everybody.
Thank you. Okay, the minutes and agenda was sent out via email. Was there any changes? Okay, a call for approval of the prior minutes. A motion, second? Okay, minutes are approved. Okay, so we will go ahead, Senator, what, he's going to do our Chris Ware Star Awards?
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm very happy to be able to present the Christopher Ware Staff Star Award. This is an excellent initiative from the Staff Senate that is meant to recognize the hard work that our colleagues at WKU staff do for our students and for our university. So our first honoree today is Brian Hearn, and Brian is a career coach from the Advising and Career Development Center. And to speak on behalf of Brian is the person who nominated Mr. Wayne Simpson, who is the Associate Director of Career Advising. Wayne, would you like to join me up here?
Shake that, you know, I'm gonna get some claps. I still have the pulpit or do you need
Oh, we can move.
Yeah, sorry, we got it. We'll just
All right, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
So I'm looking good. All right, so for those who don't know me, my name is Denzel Washington. I have a new movie coming out, Gladiator. No, seriously. My name is Wayne Simpson, Associate Director of Career Development, and I nominated Mr. Brian Ahern for this award. So in January, one of my team members transitioned to another position, which is, you know, they're right. And I told my team, the work doesn't stop. And I want to make sure that the work that we put out is still top quality. And Brian, he dove right in there, didn't complain, and he gave excellent service to not only students, but to the employers of the Bowling Green community. And I couldn't think of anyone else that will be benefit of this award than Mr. Ahern. He truly is a great addition to this team. He actually was the first person that I hired. And so we were kind of redoing career development together. And so he truly is a gem, and we wouldn't be where we are without him. So let's give Brian. Sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. One, two, three. All right, thank you. Thank you again so much, and congratulations to Brian, and thank you, Wayne, for nominating me. Our next awardee for the Christopher Ware Staff Star Award is Miss Abby Whitaker. Abby is an assistant director in the Division of Philanthropy and Alumni Engagement. She was nominated by Miss Margaret Glazer, who is also an assistant director in the division. And so I will invite Margaret now to come and say a few words on about Abby.
Hi, my name's Margaret Glazer. Like Jordan said, I'm an assistant director with our philanthropy alumni engagement office. I am the forward-facing side, reaching out to alums and folks who give to the university philanthropically, and Abby is the behind the scenes. So she's been with Western about 5 years. She completed an undergraduate degree while she was working with our office. And from my perspective, she is just a great support for our office. Doing lots of research on donors. She's great at Excel. And then she carries herself very professionally in our office in the supportive work that she does. So she is very deserving of this award, and congrats, Abby.
Congratulations again to Abby, and thank you to Margaret for nominating her. I know that I speak for everyone in the staff senate and at the university community, excuse me, that WKU could not do what we do for our students without the hard work of people like Abby and like Brian. So we are so appreciative for everything you do. And I wanted to note that I'm sure that everybody here today and everybody watching from home, they all work with someone who contributes a lot to WKU, who goes the extra mile. So if you'd like to recognize them, please don't hesitate to go to the Staff Senate website and go to our Christopher Ware Staff Star nomination link, because I know that there are so many people doing great work and we would love to be able to celebrate. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator Wright. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go to our next guest speaker. It will be Dr. Martha Sales. She is the Vice President of Student Experience and Dean of Students. Dr. Sales.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am so happy to be here and thank you so much for the invite. Usually when I'm invited to share, whether it's with faculty, staff, or students, I always start with the question because I don't want to share things that you already know or miss over or not address things that you don't know. So I always ask the question, what do you think I do as Vice President of Student Experience and the Dean of Students here at Western Kentucky University? What is my day-to-day? What do I do? What do I get paid for? What do I do? Yeah.
I was gonna say advocate for students.
Yes, that is a big role and responsibility that I serve as Dean of Students. I get the privilege, I tell campus community and colleagues that I have the best job on campus because I get to spend time with students. I'm able to advocate for students, educate students, because we make the assumption that students who are here, they know about the system, they know how we operate, they know resources, they know how to communicate, they know how to send a professor an email. We just make the assumptions because they are WKU students, but that's not always the case. So a big role and responsibility that I have is I advocate for students, instead help them, educate them on what they need to do, educate them on the system of WKU. Tell them if they know how to navigate the system, they can make it. And oftentimes we lose students because they don't know how to navigate this thing called higher education. They don't know how to navigate Western Kentucky University. And then I also spend a lot of my time empowering students, letting them know that they can do it, letting them know that they are built for this, letting them know that one way to be empowered is trust yourself enough to ask questions. Don't be intimidated because even the grown people, we make up stuff from time to time. And so they need to understand that it's okay if they don't understand that they can ask questions. So again, I spend a lot of time advocating for students. I'm the only dean that sits on the president's cabinet for that student voice. So I'm able to advocate for our students, empowering them and educate them in this big arena at Western Kentucky University, and more importantly, higher education. Anything else? What else do you think I do? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, and it's not so much what you do, I know you advocate for students, there has been a lot, how do you communicate to students? There's been a lot of, talk on campus, there's been some tragedies, drownings, deaths on campus. What type of role does your office play with communicating to students and, cause it doesn't seem like we've got a lot of, information about it, but it's out there, so what kind of,
And for some cases, that's intentional. Some cases it is the people, and not that we're trying to, as a university, or even in my role, or our office, trying to hoard information or not let people know. But some things, it is, some information is need to know information to different departments and different individuals. One, to protect the privacy of the student. Two, to also protect the privacy of family. Three, to alleviate or eliminate any copycatting or anything that may prohibit or help students do things that they shouldn't do, I should say. And so information, our office oftentimes is the first front line as far as campus, when we know what is going on. Legal and or police or medical, they take care of that area. And then they notify my office on providing information to students as it pertains to, or campus departments as it pertains to things like death, in particular, unaliving or suicidal. And so we have a student death protocol that we follow. What we don't want to do, and I take this very, I think it's so important. What we don't want to do is share information that's false, for it to be in the, Deanna, in the world of social media. We don't want a mom looking on a social media post that her child is drowned. And so when people say, well, why didn't we know? Well, you weren't supposed to, because I know you post everything. You take pictures of all your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so you would have been the last person I would have told, so sometimes it's the need to know. But I do think we do an excellent job with our protocols. Some things are policies, some things are procedures. And then in reference to, we make sure our student body is taken care of, that they have places and spaces to, and they start oftentimes in my office, to debrief or to grieve or just to share, to vent, to be angry, whatever's necessary.
I think that's what you were asking, right?
Right.
Is, how are we communicating to students the resources that are available, I think is what.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, and even more so as far as not the policy and procedure, but. the
Gotcha. Personally.
Resource communication, like. for
So
what-
oftentimes students are referred to our office because a student may go to Sierra first. And so Sierra may refer them to our office, or a dean may refer, or a student friend may refer. And so usually they start in our office and then we refer campus-wide. Could be counseling, it could be just to communicate with the dean, it could be to let the students, faculty and staff know that they may miss class that particular day and or week. And so that's how we communicate.
Thank you.
Any other questions? What else do you think I do?
You share stories of success with us so that we can share those with the wider community.
Sure. So for me, a story of success is when a student comes in really feeling like they can't, and they leave my office knowing they can't. I know that's real simple, but that is a story of success for me. Dr. Hammond's a real wonderful story of success, or stories of success, is every time we celebrate in May and December, when students walk across our graduation stage. Sometimes it's like, thank you, God. And sometimes it's thank you, God. That they made it and they are out of here. But that's success. To see how students develop from the week they arrive here on campus to their 5th week. They have figured it out. To see students communicate with each other. Stories of success for me is me seeing other students help students pave the way, that they came in not knowing and then they pay it forward. And they assist students, whether it's with classes or they share meal swipes or just seeing them congregate in DSU or walking up the hill together. Those are stories of success. Stories of success for me also, because all of our students, believe it or not, don't come from homes that necessarily look like mine. And so sometimes they are discouraged at home. So stories of success for me is when I see students still connected to their families, but at the same time, they know they can be successful with or without them.
So is there anything as a staff senate that we can do besides, obviously, we're helping here, we're for the students, every single one of us are affected.
Yes.
We have a job because of students. Is there anything that we should be doing or we could be doing more of to encourage the students or just be able to provide, I guess, advocate for them also?
I always charge faculty and staff to see students. That's what you can do. See them, I mean, like see them for real. Don't just assume, that they're okay, because a lot of times students are not okay. It's because they have smiles on their faces. So for my staff family, just to be aware, be aware that this, even though they may not have shared with you what specifically is going on, societal or something you've seen on TV or on social media that just might impact a student, see the student and just ask the general question, are you okay? Also for staff, I think it's important that you take care of yourself so you can take care of students. I had a leadership team meeting with my student experience leadership today. And I often share the same thing that students are going through, faculty and staff are going through as well. We just know how to mask it a little bit better because we're grown. So just be aware maybe what's going on with you and know that it's also probably going on with the students and maybe magnified 10 times because they're young and they don't always know how to express themselves, or they don't always know how to deal with things in healthy ways. Share about what the services that we have on the student experience side or the staff side. Become familiar with my office. I'll tell faculty and staff and parents when I talk with them, my office is like a Walgreens. It's right on the corner. As soon as you get off, you can find us. Be acquainted with the services that we provide, because you may be that referral source. They may stumble in your area, and you may be their referral source. I think we need to do a better job, just as a university and on our staff side, to know enough where we can refer. Because human nature, sometimes when we don't know what to do, we either do too much, above all do no harm, or we don't do anything. And so I think we need to be familiar with what office to refer to. And I promise you, our office, you won't bother me. Sometimes faculty or staff will say, I was gonna send you the student, but I didn't want to bother you, but that's my job. Yeah, you won't bother me. And we will find the help that the student needs. We will refer, and we have community connections. It's not just always campus connections, it's community connections. And students know I will call their mama as well. And so it's just important. And sometimes I have to do that. Within reason, because I'm trying to keep my job, Jordan. But yeah, sometimes we have to spend time, unfortunately, calling parents to come and get their son or daughter, because it's beyond what we can do. But yeah, just be familiar with the resources that we have. Remind yourself, as we often say, there's no dumb question. If you have a question you don't know, just send an email, call, and where our office is happy to assist you. And it's not just my role as Dean of Students, my portfolio as Vice President of Student Experience, Conduct and Counseling, the ID Center, Intercultural Student Engagement Center, Housing, which I have an AVP, Dr. Catherine LaRoche. Housing reports to her, as well as Airmark, Campus Rec, and activities and student activities. She just reports to me. So even though that's in my portfolio, she is responsible as AVP for those units, and she just reports to me. And then, of course, the Student Ombudsman Officer, Emmeline Essler, and Student Success Coordinator is housed in my office as well. And so I have a large area that impacts student life and student experience. And so you might say, I don't want to bother the Dean of Students with this question about dining services or about the big red backpack. But you can start with our office and we will refer you or get you the information and help that you need. Any other questions? So I have another question for you. What do you feel like we need to do better on our student experience side and or Dina student side? What would you like to see? From a staff, what have you said in your office and thought, man, I wish, you know, I knew more about this, or I wish we could do this, or what would you like to see? Period or more of?
I think one thing that I would like would be, I guess, more of a network for staff members to know the resources, you know, like you were saying, like what, and we've talked about this a lot because a lot of the people who are student facing, they don't know, like, you know, who would have thought that all of that was under your area? You know, we know what you do, but it's like, oh, you know, she has this and this and this, or, you know, the registrar's office helps with this, we help with that, you know, and I think, and it's bigger than just student services. I mean, it's university wide, but I think sometimes, like you said, if we don't know what to do, oh, let me just transfer you, let me transfer you, and they don't provide the resources, and that's when we get a lot of students. So I think as a university, and that would benefit the student, because if you called my office and I was like, well, no, I can refer you to this place. So I think one of the things is that we need to, you know, as staff teams, even faculty, and even, you know, people that may not have the front facing student side, we're still here for the students, and we just need to know where to refer them or where resources to provide. And it just helps enlighten us too, as staff members, for sure.
And how would you suggest that we do that? Is it training? Is it just emailing a resource? Is it our office having an open house and inviting everyone? I mean, how would you suggest that?
You know, I think the training would probably be a one good start, and I've even thought about doing like maybe an open house, like even at DSU, people who had to come and sit at tables and be
Yes.
like, hey, do you know, instead of like we had a health fair or something like this would be a staff engagement fair or staff information fair, and people could provide resources and stuff like that, because I think it's just so important for our staff members to engage with other departments, because sometimes we are so siloed in our own areas that we don't pay attention, so.
And I would love that. I think one way we could even pilot and try that, is maybe our Student Success Summit, where you do a tabling. You know, you have the workshops that people attend and sign up, but much like we do TOPS, there are times in the day, during TOPS orientation where you invite staff, to come and do tabling in DSU, maybe right before lunch or maybe before the day gets started or in the afternoon. But I think that would be good, that we would have a staff engagement or a staff fair or tabling. I think that would probably be the best place to start. You could do that in January. I think the date is already out for that. And it's just a matter of, because a lot of people don't want to present, but they want you to know what they do. They just don't want to present, so they would feel very comfortable sitting at a table with their resources on. And then I always tell my educated colleagues, just keep it simple, you know, just 3 bullet points. You know, if I have to scroll, then you probably told me too much. Just keep it, especially at tabling, you know, this is who we are, this is what we do, this is what we don't do. I mean, you know, and, you know, this is who you, or take information, names at your tabling. I always tell students that as well, just keep, especially at your tables, because people are, they're going from table to table to table. And so you want to be respectful to the people behind the people that are talking to you. But I think that would be great. That's easy too. If you don't have time, you can create QR codes with that, just that link you to the at your table, that link to your website. So I'm here to help you with that if that's something you guys think that we need to do during Student Success Summit.
I think that would be good too, with the onboarding process, because again, we always talk about everybody's a recruiter and everybody whatever, and always having WKU's best foot forward. I think you'll never know when you might meet the student in the hallway, that you're the first person to walk up on, or whatever that might look like, and then, you know, so I just think maybe even too, the onboarding process maybe.
I think that would be good. So are you suggesting like through HR or you, Yeah, now I am blessed that and it's funny because every new faculty orientation, I'm always on the agenda.
That's right, that's why I haven't been up, so that's why it's easy for me to say that I've seen.
Dr. Hill always invites me
Yeah.
to the new faculty orientation, so
But I
I'm
think
able.
people forget the staff side of how much
Yes.
connection staff members actually have
Yes.
to a student, just the same.
So that would just be a matter of us working with HR and just including, again, we had a list of resources. If we don't have time to talk, this is a resource guide or booklet or links to different departments that you may have. And if you have additional questions, you can go see this person. I think proactive, especially with the student population that we are blessed to serve now, is to be proactive. Because you just never know. I mean, they can be smiling 1 minute and then fell out on your floor in the next 30 seconds. Yeah, true story. I mean, but you have to be proactive. Sometimes you don't have time to say, who do I need to call? You need to have a list, or you need to have the resources on who to call or connect. Yeah, but I think a staff engagement fair would be excellent.
I think we do a great job as departments of sharing information on our web pages. But someone would have to know what department to go to find that information. It might be neat to have a list of, based on your issue, what do you need help with? And then that would direct to that detailed information.
I love that too.
It's a long-term reference, you know, maybe even a flow chart type thing.
Yes.
You need help with this, go there, then this. You know.
And to piggyback off of that, you know, even on the Dean of Students website, under faculty and staff, I really like that there are some resources segmented that way: student resources, student concerns, withdrawal process, and then there's drop downs based on that. So it kind of gives you, it's like a wayfinder in a way. So I think something like that as a toolkit is helpful, because otherwise Googling on you have to Google to find information on our.
Some of it's
WKU.
outdated. I mean.
Yeah, and a lot of it is
the
outdated,
page,
yeah.
Page that you click on. So, yeah. And you guys can help me, especially from the student perspective. I mean, if there's something that you feel like your department, that we need to share, because remember, I'm in front of students all the time, families all the time. I was able to meet with probably the first batch of families that will probably be Hilltoppers in fall of 25 on Monday with our cherry presidential. And so that's the first time for, you know, our newbies per se. But the parents ask a lot of questions. They're making decisions based on where they want their son or daughter to attend. So even if there are things that you feel like, you know, Dr. Sells, when you're meeting with students, parents, or orientation groups or community people, we really want you to know about our department. You know, everybody's recruiting, retaining, and helping. Dr. Hammond's helping us graduate. I mean, if there are things that you feel like they need to know, then share that information with me. Because sometimes they ask questions and I don't know everything, you know, so they like, oh yeah, Jordan, he just told me about this. So this is something that we have going on. And so if there's something that you feel like our office needs to know, or any of those individual departments that are in my portfolio, just let me know and we'll make sure that we share that information. And that's why it's important for you all to know what we do, because you're in places and spaces, you see people that I may never see. All right, but you're able to share that information and they still get to me. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have need for volunteers for staff to help with things?
Yes, always. And people, and this is what I tell my students this all the time. If somebody trusts you enough to ask you what you need a list so you can tell them. And so, yes, we need volunteers all the time. Sometimes it's as simple as just saying, hey, Dr. Sells, I know this is gonna be extremely busy time. And so I can come and maybe answer the phones for Emmeline, because Emmeline sometimes has to shut the door. Some of you have walked by and you've seen the door, you know, closed. And she doesn't have time to answer the phone, because we're just an office of 2. Right now, Tanya Johnson is assistant as well, but she's an office of 2. So she may be dealing with a student crisis. And the phones are ringing and I'm answering the phone. And while she's dealing with the student and talking to the student, I might be dealing with a faculty or staff that's connected to the student, or a parent that's connected with the student, or the police that's connected with the student. And so you have time to volunteer, to swing by, to see if there's something that we need. Always Always, always. Don't ever feel like you are in the way. Yeah, we will take your time, your talents and your tens. If we feel like you don't have time to spend, donate some meal passes. Yeah, I have some meal passes, because students come in sometimes and they're like, my first question when they're in distress, how long have you rested? When's the last time you've been in the bed? You know, or when's the last time you've eaten? Sometimes they don't have a swipe to give, and so here's a fresh food pass, go get you something to eat and then come back and see me. Or a Scantron, we take Scantrons, I mean, simple things like that, you know, or blue books. I mean, those things add up for students. So we buy up blue books and Scantrons. The Alumni Association this year donated gift cards to our office, Scantrons, meal passes, and they have been utilized and very, 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 very helpful. Any other questions? I'm here to help not only the students, but I'm here to serve you as well, because I do believe we're stronger together. Yeah, I do believe that I may not be able to help a student, but I may be able to refer them to you, and you can help them. And it doesn't matter to me as long as the student is helped. Yeah, so we're in it together. Any other questions?
Well, Dr. Sales, thank you. We appreciate you being
Thank you.
here.
I
We're
appreciate
here for
this.
students, and we appreciate your information, and we look forward to working with you.
And let's make this student engagement fair happen.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I mean, even if you do it like, I was in Opera Mills yesterday, even if you do it by color code, you know, where they know where to go, because they may not even, sometimes I don't like where everything is spread out, you know, because I might not need to know information on this, but if you give me, I might just need to know information on demand. So if I know I'm in the purple, just go to the purple area. It's easier than going from table to table to table to table to find, you know, so maybe like, does that make sense? Like, because sometimes we try to mix and mingle, but sometimes that's not an advantage to visitors or even to our coworkers. Like, I don't need to know about this. I just want to know, where can I find more information about the registrar's office? Or where can I find more information about philanthropy? But if we have it, you know, mapped out, sometimes that helps. And you know, grown people, we don't want to look for stuff, so. If I can't find you, I'm just gonna be like, forget it, I'll call them. All right, thank y'all so much for all you do. I appreciate you, and if nobody's told you today, you're great and you matter. Thank you.
All right, so our next guest speakers are Sierra Waller and April McCauley. They are both with the Student Success under CITL and First Gen Advocates. That is one thing that Dr. Caboni, when he was here, mentioned was the importance of First Gen. And so I invited them just to kind of speak and talk about their what they do.
Thank you all so much for inviting us here today. April and I were talking on our way over here and trying to think about, okay, what can we say that probably President Caboni hasn't already said? But we do want to highlight for you a little bit about what we do, what our initiative is, and how we're growing and ways to help. So I'll start off with a quick trivia question for those of you in the audience. What does First Gen mean here at WKU? Does anybody know what our definition of that is?
It's a student who is the first to go to college in their family, right?
Maybe a little bit, yes. Anyone else?
It's the first one, their parents have never been to college.
Yes. So a lot of times we do put that definition everywhere because WKU, which most universities do define first generation students as those who their parents, neither parent has graduated from a traditional 4-year college. So for those who have parents that maybe have graduated from like an associate's degree, they're still first gen. If you had grandparents that went to college, but your parents didn't, you're still first gen. If you had a sibling that graduated from college. Your generation is still the first to go to college. So we like to make sure that that definition is out there. We find new students and faculty and staff every day that realize, hey, I'm first gen. But we want to make sure that that's known and that's out there. And Tanya, if you, I don't know who's clicking the websites. Oh, no, that's fine. If you'll click that up at the top of that black bar that says get involved. Right by first gen, yeah, up there, yeah, that black bar. So this is the page that we have that for our first gen student information. So if you'll scroll down on that, and we'll make sure that everyone has the link. It does have the definition for first gen because we do want our students to know that. Currently, the only way that we're able to know if a student is first gen is if they select that on their admissions application. And so we know that a lot of those students, they don't find that out until later on. So we always have that, that definition there. The next trivia question, does anyone know how many first gen students that we have on campus? Even if it's a percentage. About how many first gen students do we have? Oh, is that all? Well, so we have over 4,000 students that are first gen here in WKU. So that means around a third of our population of students are here navigating this experience for the first time. That's a huge number. Let's go.
So you said that when they apply, they put this on there. Can students self-report? So like say they've only been here a year and all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're a first gen. Can they go back in and change it so y'all can collect that data or?
Not currently at this point. That is one of the challenges that we are working on with our first gen leadership team, because as of right now, we don't have a way to go back and get those students counted in. So that's a good question. Also, key tip that we'll be reaching out to IR and some folks to work on that. To see how we can better get that data. But that kind of just lets you know, kind of looking at the amount of students that we have here at WKU, we're following those national trends where there are a lot of students that are coming to our campus for the first time and needing help kind of navigating, not necessarily from a deficient standpoint, but from an asset point. They need help navigating this experience for the first time. So our initiative works to empower these students, celebrate those strengths. Like I said, we focus on that asset-based approach and support them through their journey. Although we know that we have over 31% of our students that are first gen, they look different. They come with different strengths. Some of them are your traditional students right out of high school. Some are non-traditional students. Some have families, some don't. Some are high achieving and some aren't. So your typical first gen student here at WKU can look different depending on their journey. So we look for ways to support them and have resources in a way that meets their needs. It's not a one-stop fits all. It's not, hey, we're going to give you all money because you don't have the money. Maybe you need help navigating, finding other resources like our DENA students. Maybe you're struggling because you don't have parent support, your family can't help you and you need that community. So part of our program looks to identify those needs and find ways and resources that we can support them. So if you'll scroll down a little bit, we have some of our first gen programs. So we're really excited. We have quite a bit of programs that our Office of Two and along with our first gen leadership team has worked to build. One of those programs right there at the top is our Make It Count Academic Engagement Series. And we partner with our first gen faculty and staff advocates to lead workshops to provide students with professionalism, social skills, and self-advocacy to engage them in success both in and outside the classroom. We just most recently hosted one on October 25th with Dr. Peggy Crow, Mindset Matters, that kind of helped talk about that growth mindset. How do we encourage our students to be resilient and not look for a hack to go around, but how do we push through and navigate? As a part of that academic engagement series, we incentivize that financially. So we do have $250 completion grants that students are able to get at the end of each semester just by participating in some of our programs. We're limited in that amount. This semester, we're hoping to give 10 each, 10 for fall and 10 for spring for those students. You'll also see our National First Gen Celebration Week. National First Gen Day is November 8th, so it's actually this Friday. We have our celebration that will be held in our Gary Ransdale Hall from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. We'll have food, music, we'll have first gen students sharing their stories, we'll have resource tables. So if you are willing and able, please join our first gen students and celebrate with them that day. Continued on from that, we'll have an information table on Tuesday, November 12th. For students. Wednesday, we will be inviting 9 first gen alumni back to WKU to spend the day. So there's 2 per each academic college outside of Health and Human Services. One of theirs had to drop out. And they will be here visiting in classes, sharing their stories, encouraging students. They will also end out the day with a speed networking event with our first gen student ambassadors and leaders. So it's great that we're able to welcome them back, but also that they're able to share and connect with our students. This is the second year that we've been able to do this in partnership with the Alumni Association office. So we're really excited about it. Great to have those coming back on the Hill this time. Hopefully you all will know some of those familiar faces and names and welcome them back as well. We'll end our first gen week with the first gen Friendsgiving. So come to DSU, the Cupola Room, and spend lunch with us. We're encouraging our first gen students to come and kind of have that shared meal, just an informal networking. A lot of times our students just need to talk to somebody. Like to see people that have had that same journey as them, or just as a first gen advocate. Even if you're not a first gen graduate, you can still pour into our first gen students and kind of share and help with them with that. So we have that coming up as well. I'm not going to read through all of the programs that we have, just going to highlight a couple that we're excited about. We are launching a mentorship program in the spring. So be looking for information if you're interested in mentoring some of our first gen students. New this year, we launched our First to the Hill Academy, which captures students in their sophomore year. And it's a cohort-based program that provides that guidance, that resource, and building a sense of community, and also encouraging our students to participate in high-impact practices. We will have our 3rd high school summer camp this summer at the beginning of June. So we're not only catering to our first gen students that are here, but we're also trying to grow that number of first gen students that come to WKU. The vast majority of our first gen students are Kentucky residents. So having this high school summer camp that's completely free. It is not 2 weeks because that's a long time. It's 3 days. So it's not too much. The students are able to stay in the residence halls for free, have meals, be connected with our first gen faculty and staff advocates. So if you all in your respective units would like to engage with our students during that time, please let April know. She is working really hard with our director over that program, but it allows those high school students to see themselves here at WKU or in college, period, to kind of confront that fear of what it's like to live in a residence hall and navigate college before they get here. We also invite their families to celebrate that last day so that they can hear these great stories and get information as well. We have a first gen living learning community, and it is for first gen students in particular. April teaches our class and is one of our fellows for that. Outside of just that LLC, we have a large number of first gen students across all of our living learning communities. So our evaluation has showed us that our living learning communities significantly impact our first gen students by giving them community and aligning them with first gen faculty and staff from day one. So that's been a great program. And then we also have our first gen student ambassadors. We have a group of about 10. All come to us from our different programs and are dedicated and willing to helping our our students. So we're excited about those programs, looking to grow those programs. As I said before, we are a team of two, but we do collaborate with our first gen leadership team. That includes Destiny O'Rourke from our TRIO Student Support Services, Lamario Moore from our Intercultural Student Engagement Center, the two of us, Wayne Simpson from Career Services. We do have college representation, Jeremy Loxton, Kara Cordwell, Monica Duval, and Amy Weininger. So we do have that kind of well-rounded approach and making sure that we are getting out of our silos and providing coverage for our first-year students. So our initiative looks to fill those gaps. Students that aren't participating in TRIO or ISEC or other things, how can we serve those needs of those students that are kind of in that gap? So we have that team to do that. Outside of our programs, part of our goal is to address those gaps and those challenges and strains for our first-gen students. Namely of those, of course, is financial support for some of our students. So that's why we have those completion grants as a way to say, hey, we want you to prioritize these academic engagement skills and resources, but we also know that that cuts in time for you to work and prioritize your other things. So that's our way of paying for their time so that they don't have to create an additional financial burden to get the help and the resources that they need. So we do have that support. We work very hard with awareness and engagement. Outside of our programs, just connecting students to other resources, you all as staff that advocate for them and sharing those things and making sure that they're engaged. We also kind of work around time constraints and flexibility. So new this year, we have joined in with the Suitable academic engagement tool. And what Suitable allows us to do is outside of just our first-gen programs that are for our in-person students, it allows us to put in tasks and opportunities that cater to our regional students, our online students, and keeps them engaged in other ways that aren't just in-person programs. So that's part of that we're trying to be flexible in and making sure that we're not missing students in that aspect. We are excited to be growing. We're presenting to WKU Sisterhood this Friday, fingers crossed, for a grant proposal that will allow us to increase the amount of those completion grants that we're able to give. So we're really excited about that. But for you all as our faculty and staff, as our staff, as our staff senate, you all work with students. You see our students, a lot of times you are their person. And so your role, whether it's in front of the scenes or behind the scenes, is important and vital. So we encourage you, of course, to attend events as you can. We have shirts for free. If you are first gen, of course, advocate for those resources. If there are barriers that you hear our students saying, let us know. Of course, having over 30% of our students be a first gen, that means we're not tapping into all of them. So if you hear things, let us know. Ways that you can get involved and show support. Follow our student Instagram. I think it's down there somewhere, but if you are there's the button a little bit up, just a little bit, maybe. Right. Yes. So our first gen Instagram for our students, it is IamFirst_WKU. And this is ran by our student ambassadors, where they will highlight our programs and opportunities, offer support and visibility for students. So please follow us, share those events, share those resources, spread the word with other faculty, staff, and students. Coming up this Friday, of course, for our National First Gen Day, we also offer an application fee waiver for first gen students. So if you know prospective students that are first gen, encourage them to apply. on that day and ask about that fee waiver. They should have received individual emails. We've worked with our admissions team through Slate, where students that have indicated interest and indicated that they are first gen, they will get that personalized email that will tell them that. But however, if you know students, let us know, because we do have that fee waiver for them that day. Encourage students to scan into our Suitable. That is also on our webpage. Information for that. All of our first gen students are logged into that system. All they have to do is scan in or sign in, and they can see those pathways and they can see those opportunities. Right now, that's how we're going to award our completion grants. So the students that are in our top 10 in our leaderboard, those will be the ones that we award to. And lastly, send us opportunities. If there are things around campus, and it doesn't have to just be for first gen students, but if there's things that you think that our students can benefit from and take advantage in, there's a form on the bottom of this page where you can send us information. Let us know any concerns or opportunities and different ways to engage. So we're always looking to grow, always looking for areas to address and how best to support our students. So April, is there anything you want to add?
I guess I have 2 points of pride. Number one is, and Sierra said all of this, but I wanted to highlight it. Just the absolute pride that I feel that we crossed all the silos, right? We work with Martha's people all the time. We work with all the colleges. We cross all of that. Faculty, staff, you can be an advocate, the alumni association. I mean, it's just across everything. So first gen students are all across the university, and so are we. And then the second thing that is really for me a point of pride, like I said, is our ability to adapt. It feels like every semester we are stepping it up one more level. You know, we started with the workshops and some other minor things, and we quickly realized that we were just adding more to people's calendar. So just over time, we have really pivoted to focusing on the workshops, the information they can't get anywhere else, and matching them with resources that are already available. So trying to curate that and step in and offer the information that a first gen student wouldn't have. So to be more effective, but not necessarily more time consuming. So I just think that that ability to adapt is amazing. And because of that, you know, we always have such positive response from our 10 ambassadors who are just absolutely excellent, you know, all the way across the board. Advocates can't be more generous with their time. So it's just a wonderful program to work with.
Does anyone have any questions? I know that's a lot of information. All of this is on the website. That's why we didn't do a PowerPoint. You can definitely take some time, look through that. Of course, it's wku.edu/firstgen. If you click the get involved, that's where our current student information will come up, where's the First of the Hill Academy things there. But anybody have any questions or otherwise?
Thank you.
Thank you all so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. Hey. Here, ready to go. Thank you for our guest speakers. I think it's just important to share the student support and you know, just learn more about cross campus. So that's why we invited the student student support. Oh, it's okay. Okay, so officer and committee reports, staff Regent, Regent Hayes, did you have any?
I'll just give a brief update. We had a committee meeting on October the 18th. Everything that was at the committee will be at the full board meeting on December. So, you know, I can talk about it now, I can talk about it in December. It doesn't really make any difference, but, of note, we had, academic affairs is fairly light, 6 emeriti appointments, and then the department name change. So if you aren't aware, sociology and folk studies and anthropology have merged into a new department of society, culture, crime, and justice studies. So their name is now quite as long, but anyway. So that department change has been in implementation this year already, but it was official at the board meeting then. It was more finance heavy, so the finance committee had most of the report from the October committee meeting, the auditors report, no significant findings or anything to report. Susan's always probably a better person to say anything on that. We did apply for a line of credit. Most of you will always know, it's always good to have a line of credit. We've never had to use ours, but it's much easier to get a line of credit when you don't need it, right? Like anybody who goes to do anything, it's usually too late. When you need it, you're never gonna get it. So we do keep that open in the event something ever happens. Personnel actions are there, nothing significant to note at that point. And a bylaws update, we'll still have to go back in December also, but they're gonna rename the finance committee to be finance, budget, and audit committee, since that kind of falls through that chain. That's it.
Thank you.
Happy to take any questions. I was gonna say I didn't.
Any questions?
Yep.
With the sociology and folk studies and everything merging, is that changing anything in the catalog as far as course names or anything like that?
It changed the department name and all of everything is assigned to that, and that's already been done in the catalog for the 24-25 year. We knew that coming in. It just went to the board at this point for notification. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay. Communications,
No report.
treasurer?
Morning, everyone. I did make it. The E and G index starting balance $3,532.29, disbursement $39.05, ending balance $3,493.24. Our staffing excellence fund starting balance $2,155.12, additions of $15, ending balance $2,170.12. Our book scholarship fund starting balance $1,849.84, addition of $15, ending balance $1,864.84. And I'm done.
Thank you. Technology, okay,
No report.
parliamentarian,
No report.
thank you. Secretary,
No report.
vice chair,
No report.
okay. So for me, I have a couple updates. I did have a meeting with the president and some questions were brought forth about I did ask him about the merit raises and he still believes that the 2% is and salary pool is enough to administer merit raises. I explained the concerns about that it just doesn't seem like there's enough in there to actually do merit raises, but it could be somewhere where there's like a 4 or 3 or 2%. He does know that there's gonna, I explained to him about the supervisor training. I think supervisor training was gonna be instrumental if we're gonna give merit raises. And this is something that he wants to see. It would have to go through the budget executive committee. And so it's not something that's in place now, but I did voice our concern that we didn't feel that the 2% is actually something enough money for merit raises. I just wanted to at least get that out there to him. I did ask him a question about the federal wage increase that is happening in January. Supposedly it is still on the plate and they are working with HR and departments to determine that. He said that there will probably be people working overtime or adjusted hours. They are working on it behind the scenes for that, because it's a federal wage increase. I did voice my concern about the health insurance and how, the 22% increase was a huge increase in burden for a lot of the faculty and staff members. We haven't heard a lot. I haven't had a lot of people come to me. I think that the staff members knew it was in place. The university is still covering 83% of our health funds. We are only responsible for 17%. He does think it's important for the benefits committee in the next year to look at ways for cost saving rather than just increases. So that's something he will be tasking the benefits committee with to look at ways to save the university versus just always increasing, because we can't continue to pay for the insurance as it is now. I did ask him if there was plenty of numbers for VSIP, and he had not had that information, so I have not heard anything else about how many people are actually taking VSIP or the names. So we should probably hear something in the next month or so about that. Did you hear something? Yeah, so.
Susan, do you have any updates on that we can share this time, or we just can expect communication to come soon about VSIP?
Yeah, so there will be a note going out to campus later today on VSIP to include the list of folks that took the VSIP.
Thank you, Susan.
Sure.
So we are continuing to meet bi-weekly with the Benefits Executive Committee. We are currently hearing presentations from each of the colleges regarding the spending of last year's budgets and the plan for the upcoming budgets. We were also presented the proposed 2% across the board raise for the employees, and that was accepted, and that would be the 2% that will go in January 1st. That was a proposal from the BEC to the executive committee. One of the talking points that I would like to discuss is the staff ombudsperson. I think it's public knowledge, I think Dr. Lavas did say he is retiring at the end of the year. I have reached out to HR, and this has been ongoing for a few years when they decided to divide the faculty and ombudsman and the staff ombudsman in place. The faculty have a policy in place that to get the faculty member, staff does not. So I think that we need to form a subcommittee so that we can propose to HR and we may just mirror what the faculty does. I have that information, so I can share with you guys. But I would like to get a staff ombudsman person in place, and so that we have that person staff can go to and talk to if they don't feel comfortable coming to a Senate meeting. So if there's anyone interested in serving on a subcommittee about a proposal for this, please just send me an email. And then we can come up with a policy that we can present to HR, and then and hopefully we can get something in place so we can get an ombudsman person in the beginning of the year. Any questions about that?
Can we nominate somebody that we think would be good? Or how's that work?
So the way that the faculty works right now is they do a call for volunteers and they submit that, and there's a committee of 2 or 3 that will decide which ones.
Okay.
I mean, and we actually, if we wanted to do the there's not anything in place, so I think we could even, if we did want to do a nomination process, or if we wanted to do that, that is something that we could do. I just want to get, and like I said, when I reached out to HR, they were still checking on it, and I haven't heard back from them, so. It could be a nomination process, it could be a call for volunteers, and then we would just have to have something in place to choose, and if it's like a 2-year term or what, so. It's just something I think we need to get into place. I have had a staff member reach out regarding the bereavement policy, and they would like us to take a look at the current policy. Currently, staff members receive 2 days of bereavement for a death in the immediate family. They were wanting to increase that to 5 days. Is there any thoughts on this?
I've never seen it be an issue with somebody wanting to take 5 days. It's the issue arising that they're wanting more time from the university versus applying sick and vacation, or.
I think it was more time from the university.
Yeah.
Has there ever been any talk to like our time, sick vacation could just be paid time off, and then that's all lumped together, and then your bereavement would come out of your paid time off, like.
I think I've heard things about that. I think people are worried about some.
I think there might be some issues arising lumping it together, because you are allowed to apply sick time towards your retirement as far as months or years of service. So I think there might be some issues as far as lumping it together into one big pot.
I wonder, I think the biggest thing would be, I guess, if someone is fairly new to the university and did not have that sick time or did not have, and I get that they didn't want to use, you know, I mean, I had a death in the family and I was able to take a full week off. I had plenty of time, you know, so it wasn't an issue, but I mean, I'm kind of conflicted because I do feel bad for people that may not have that time. Or I remember when I first started the university, my vacation, you know, I had it planned where I'd use a spring break and fall break for my daughter. And so I wouldn't have had any extra days to utilize. I don't know. I mean, it's something we can discuss. And if it's something that we think is important, I mean, we could, you know, do a proposal. I'm always cautious about requesting more days.
Yeah, I don't, has there been any instances where people have taken more time off and it's been either going into an unpaid status or just outright denied? I would call that into question. I don't think that any department has been that sticking to the policy. I think there's been a lot of leeway given in the terms of bereavement. I know when I've had to use bereavement, a lot of latitude has been given. I know I've given a lot of people that under me latitude as far as bereavement. I just don't know if it's a issue, I guess.
Then you've got people you can give 1,000 days a year off and they're gonna use every day of it and they wouldn't have it for bereavement anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perhaps we could look at what other universities' bereavement policies are to see where ours stands.
And
And then kind of go from there with the conversation.
the only complaints I've ever heard about the university's bereavement policy is who's included in it.
Oh, like if it's
Yeah,
immediate
yeah,
family,
you
like
know, like,
grandparent or mother.
great uncles, great aunts, cousins, I think are not listed as far as being available for application of the bereavement policy.
Right, that might be a good to see.
I think that would be a worthwhile expansion, but I kind of agree with you, you know, as far as asking the university for, hey, we need 5 days.
Just curious, because I can't remember off the top of my head. Does anybody know, like, if you need more time, can you use sick time for bereavement, or does it have to be vacation?
I was allowed to use sick time. I mean, I don't know the actual policy.
In the times that it's come up,
It's just like
me
flexible, right?
personally, I've let them use whatever, and I've also turned my back and just didn't make them do anything.
Right, I mean, like my leadership would be very flexible with, yeah, that kind of thing. So, and just be like, take what you need. So, yeah.
I think it does state we can use sick time. I mean, I would certainly look back in the policy for sure. I know for snow days, we cannot use sick time, but I'm thinking for bereavement, we can use sick or vacation, whatever is available.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be an issue that if someone runs into an issue where they feel they're not being treated fairly, or if they're not being utilized, I mean, that would be something they could come to us, or if we have a staff ombudsperson, you know, or HR. So we could definitely look at the policy on the other universities, just so we can kind of see, and if we're way off, then maybe we could address the issue. But then we could also look to see who's included as well, because I mean, some people have a first cousin that's like their mother, you know, I mean, you can't determine a family member's relationship. I mean, my granny basically, you know, I was around and she was like my mom, and so when she passed, it was like losing a parent. So, but some people don't even know their grandparents, so.
And also to kind of address what Senator Moran brought up, I know I've had discussions in the past with HR, and unless something has changed, their stance has been is if you got the time, then you're allowed to use it. As long as you're not causing an undue, as long as your absence doesn't cause any undue stress to the university, if you've got the time, you can use it for, you know, whatever you want. As long as it's not being abused, but.
Yeah, just like everybody's different about how long they've been at the university and what kind of things are going on in their life, but you know, for somebody that's been here for a while, I have sick days out the.
Yeah.
You know, so,
I mean, you know, if you're a new hire, I don't think the university is gonna, gig you for taking a week off in the event of a loved one died. I think that that's just gonna be swept away and everybody goes on about their day. That's just my thought personally. Again, the only complaint I've ever had is the list of people who are included in the bereavement policy.
And the policy does say the 2 days, and then if additional time is needed, a particular occurrence, employees may use earned sick, medical leave, or vacation. So you can use that appropriately, so, yeah. The only request I received was to increase from 2 to 5, just in the actual leave days.
I think we should investigate what our benchmarks institutions are doing, just so we see if we're on board, and then we can bring this up again in December to see if we wanted to take action on requesting additional days. So I will look into that.
And I will ask the faculty or the faculty committee as well, because it was sent to me and the faculty member rep also. So I'm curious to see if they've done anything too, because it may be that they've already looked at the benchmarks and whatever. So we don't duplicate effort
Yes,
before we do
yeah.
anything. Let me ask Dan Clark to make sure that we won't do the same thing as Arena. Or if they haven't done it, they will.
Well, and time off is different for faculty versus staff, so
Yeah.
that would.
Yeah.
It would affect different groups differently.
Thank you. For December, our December meeting, Dr. Marco Demonstrates will be our guest speaker, and he'll be talking about AI, artificial intelligence, and how that can help boost staff productivity and save time. It's out there. There's a lot of information in higher education going out. We'll be sending out, instead of questions for him, he has a survey that he has developed, and we're gonna be sending that out to staff members to kind of get an idea of where staff stand on AI. So if you have time to fill out that survey, it's just gonna ask some questions about, do you know anything about AI, or how do you feel it can help your job? So it'll be interesting to see the results. And speaking of surveys, I have not got that survey back from the staff engagement survey. I'm expecting it back sometime this month. So as soon as we get that information back, we will talk about it and go from there. So that's all for my reports for now. So anything else, any questions on the reports? Okay. For old business, the spring meet and greet. So you guys discussed that at the October meeting. I think we had come up with a plan to have it at, where at, Andrea? The garage. Yes, the garage down here at DSU. There is a $40 fee to use that. So we are proposing between the $40 fee and the food, which if it's gonna be in the morning, I was thinking more of like a little fruit tray or something real light in the mornings. The cookies and brownies were really good, but we could do maybe fruit and cookies, since it will be early morning. So we were proposing a $300 amount to be used for the spring meet and greet. Any questions? Can I get a motion to use $300 fund fees? And we probably will not use that full amount, but that would just like to give us some flexibility.
Got motion.
Okay? Second, okay. All in favor? Okay. Any opposed? Any discussion? Okay, so it passes. I forgot to do that for the minutes, sorry. The minutes passed, I guess, if there was, I should have said all in favor, but yeah. So $300 for that. Jordan, you had sent out the email around the bylaws.
Yes.
How does that work? You said before we can put it on the agenda, can you explain how that works?
Sure. In order to amend the bylaws and the Constitution for the staff senate, 5 senators have to, I guess, co-sponsor that amendment. And then if 5 senators agree, then the secretary will put it on the agenda. And then 2/3 of the voting members of the Senate have to vote yes, and then it becomes an amendment to the Constitution. And in my email, I just put out a suggested amendment to try to cover everything that we found. But if anyone sees anything else that needs to be updated, if anyone, thinks that the amendment needs to be more specific and explicit, I tried to keep it rather general, but, all that's up for discussion too.
Was there any discussions of that? I mean, I think you did a great job, Jordan. I know Deanna
Oh,
has
yeah,
some.
definitely
there's
credit
like-
to Deanna.
Yeah, some updates and stuff like that. I think we just wanted to go through, there was some wording off. There wasn't anything, I think we're making major changes, but we wanted to go ahead and get that out there. So how do we do the 5 senators? Should they just volunteer and they have to sign something or?
I don't know, has that ever happened?
I don't
In- in your
have the
tenure?
history,
Yeah.
I guess that is where the bylaws are pleasingly vague, that we can just make that work for us.
Right.
So I suppose we would need to notify, I guess as long as the secretary is notified and verifies there are 5 senators.
That'd be just an ad hoc committee that you would appoint.
Yeah.
I don't think so, is there? I mean, I think it would be, yeah.
I mean, you're at the head of the table.
well, it just says any proposal to amend the bylaws shall be submitted by a petition signed by 5 representatives, so maybe like the changes and 5 people sign it and
Yeah,
submit it.
I can send maybe an email with that proposed amendment on it, just send it
Okay.
to the listserv, and then, I don't know, do you wanna reply all if you agree, or how? would you
Right,
like-
then that would be at least 5, and then we could put that on the agenda, correct?
Yes.
If we want signature, like if you want actual signatures, we can send it through like Adobe sign.
Yeah. I was gonna say, with the current constitution saying signature of petition, we're gonna have to, a digital signature or something to make it, legal.
So, yeah, so do we have 5 volunteers that are interested, that would be willing to sign for that, so we don't have to do it all to the whole listserv? So Andrea,
I would, but if I'm gonna send it, I won't sign
right,
it.
okay, so.
Or like you
Andrea-
said, if it's sent to me, can I sign it? It doesn't-
I mean, you're a voting senator, I would
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any
anybody-
voting
anybody
member.
could.
So we'll just do
Yeah.
Andrea. Rhonda, Morgan. Yeah, we got Rachel, so we got plenty, so you got the names here.
Andrea, Rhonda, Morgan, Rachel.
And then,
I don't.
yes, yeah, okay.
I was like, I knew somebody else would.
Yeah, okay, so you'll just send that Adobe form to them?
I'll work with George, make sure we get an
Sure,
amendment
yes.
on there.
And is this concerning the qualifications of the regent, or what's this amendment?
That was not on there, so
Okay,
I
this
don't know
is-
if that's.
Yeah.
Something different, okay.
Yeah, so this was just updating the bylaws to changing the wording where Delo was still in there, the regional representative. Fixing the
Okay.
grammatical errors and,
Cause I know way back in the beginning, there was,
Right.
you know,
we
discussion.
talked about the region.
We wanted to make it more lenient where it, like said that we didn't have to meet on the first Wednesday.
Right,
Right.
so it was just like, we had changed the wording to be like, you know, as a designated time.
That's how it's voted.
I can't remember, did we change anything with the attendance policy?
Right.
I can't remember.
That was something, 'cause I had thought in the Constitution that it specifically said something about if you miss 2 or more.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
It does.
But I think,
I mean. I don't think any of us are paying super close attention to that unless people just stop showing up.
right,
It's to you. Keep going.
yeah, that's what it said, yeah. But I wonder if it's unexcused too, or like just not showing up or participating.
Right. Just expecting.
Cause I tried to look back and try to find that information and I could not see it written down anywhere or specifically.
Gotta remember it's saying 2 consecutive meetings.
Oh, was it 2 consecutive? Okay, maybe that is. But I looked back and I could not find it.
What, Tony, you can't find what?
Like where it says about the attendance, what did it that you? Like, 'cause at one point I thought it said if you missed more than 2 meetings or 2 consecutive meetings. Then you could be dismissed.
I found it before, I know what you mean too.
Yeah, I've seen it too, I just can't.
Okay, that may be something if we can look at it, if once we find it, Jordan, and we wanna send. Cause like I said, I was like, well, maybe it's no longer in the Constitution, maybe it was an old document that we had updated. If you wanna send, if you do find that in there and we want to reevaluate the wording.
I just know we've mentioned it before and I couldn't remember if that was.
Right. I mean, I think it's mostly like if people just don't show up, But if we have obligations or if they let us know, I mean, I don't think someone should be kicked off just for missing two throughout the year.
It does say under Article 1, it does say that responsibilities of a member is to regularly attend Senate meetings. And then later down, it says failure to comply with these responsibilities may result in disciplinary action or termination. So I guess
So
that,
we can
that
update.
gives the Senate the leeway to decide on the enforcement.
Okay, okay. I think at one time, and maybe it was an old constitution or bylaws that there was just something that was really specific out there, and I think it created some issues because sometimes, I mean, out of 12 meetings, sometimes there is possibility you might miss two. I mean, so, and I don't think someone should be removed, especially if they're an active member of our Senate. So if it says that wording on there.
Here we go,
Okay.
sorry. Under section 4, termination and vacancies, an automatic vacancy occurs when an elected representative fails to attend 3 consecutive regularly scheduled monthly meetings.
Okay,
So
3,
3 in a row, then you're no longer part of the Senate.
okay. Do we need to reevaluate that?
It does say extenuating circumstances may qualify for an exception.
Okay,
A written warning will be issued to the Senate member by the chair after 2 consecutive absences. Written notification dismissal will be submitted to the Senate member by the staff Senate chair after 3 absences.
I don't think we've had that issue yet, so we'll just address it when it comes up.
Right.
I mean, do we have any discussion? Do we need to reevaluate that policy? I mean, with it saying that there's extenuating circumstances, I think that kind of covers the Senate, but I mean, I'm open to discussion if we think it should be taken out or.
See no problem with the way it is.
Sounds like if there's an issue, you have the leeway to figure that out at the time if needed, but if there's also an issue where you need to take care of it, you can as well.
And maybe take the responsibility off of you as chair to put it to a vote. Where we all vote whether, I mean, that way it's just not a person.
Like the chair.
We do have, there is right now, I just saw this, and then I closed documents, so I forget where it was, but there is that senators can be removed by a vote of the entire body.
I like being able to have it to follow through with if you need it, but the written warning will be issued after 2 consecutive absences, and if we're not doing that, I feel like that's kind of like we're going against what's written in our bylaws.
Right.
And not that I think that it's necessary, but it is in there. If we don't change it now.
Is that an issue? I mean, do we have?
I've never had that addressed. I mean, I have.
Everybody always lets you know if
They're not gonna be here, right? But basically on that bylaws, it's saying even if
Yeah.
they can't come 2 times in a row, we're supposed to have. I don't feel that, I mean, we're adults. I don't think we should have to write written warnings.
One senator recently wrote to everyone and said that that senator was going to be out, and those are extenuating circumstances I would consider.
So even with extenuating, we do not have to, but based on the bylaws, it says that if you miss 2, you have to do a written warning. So should we remove that part, or what do you think? Or should we say in there that due to extenuating circumstances, we don't have to do a written warning? I don't know,
Instead of will issue a warning, could just change it to may issue a warning.
May.
Or even add language to say unexcused absences. Like, absence without a notification would be unexcused, but
Right. Yeah, I think that would be good. So I do, that makes a good point, because I think if someone just does not show up
Yeah.
2 times in a row, then there needs to be something so that if it's in the bylaws.
I kind of feel like that's the spirit of this, with the extenuating circumstances may qualify for exception. If you let us know that you're not gonna be here, that's not showing, right?
Correct.
That is, you're on vacation, you're sick, something's going on. That's different than you just not showing up for 2 meetings in a row. At that point, that's when I feel like you should get a written one. Not, well, I was sick, so I missed this one, and then my daughter had to go to the hospital, so I missed the next one. Those are different circumstances than an unexcused or unexplained absence.
Okay. So do we need to re-clarify that in there, or do you think it's clarified enough with the
I think
writing.
this gives us enough wiggle room that we can interpret it that way.
You know, I do think there's precedent for that kind of thing where it's inferred in, you know, in the United States Constitution, it nowhere says there are 9 justices on the Supreme Court. There's actually nowhere inferred that it has a chief justice, but it does later say that the chief justice presides over an impeachment. So there are things that if it's mentioned, I don't think it all has to be spelled out unless the Senate wants it that way.
I mean, I do like maybe we should put may issue a written warning, if we could change that part instead of will issue a written warning.
I mean, I could get granular and say like, I don't know if we need it to be an automatic vacancy either. Like, is that really necessary? For it to be automatic?
Mm-mm.
I mean, that could back us into a corner, because then I think there's, at some number, we have to open elections to refill, right?
Right, yeah. So do you want to work with Jordan, maybe remove that automatic, and then when you send out the amendment, before we send out that, then we'll have the updates, okay, yeah.
We can put the entire bylaws in there and then you can scroll through it and then sign.
Okay. That'll work, okay, thank you all. So we got the old business, new business for myself, I put December workshop on there because I am expecting hopefully the, staff engagement survey out there, so I would like to do at least 30-45 minutes after our meeting, it'll be off the, as a workshop to discuss the findings of that. Does anyone have any objections to that in December? Okay, so I think it'll be important to discuss it sooner than later. We need to get that information out there so that in January, we can use these results. Because once the survey is sent to us, we will have time to look at it and go over it. We will put the survey on the website without the comments, but we will have access to the comments so that we can actually see what people are saying. So I will propose that workshop and then send out an invite so that you have it. So I'm not sure what the Zoom is, that you'll have it on the place, that we had talked about maybe doing a lunch for holiday lunch, if anyone's interested, maybe meeting in Fresh Foods, maybe doing like a little ornament exchange or something. I didn't know if anyone was interested in that, and we may just decide. I don't know if we would be able to do it on the December date, because if we do go a little bit longer, but maybe the next week. Is Fresh open that week? I'm assuming they're open.
They usually are.
They're open that week. It would be just a time to get together. I can send out an email and if anyone's interested, we could do something like that. Cause it'd be, time to get together outside of the Senate, and I know it's a busy time for everyone, but maybe it won't be as crazy, so. Any other new business? And I think I forgot to ask, I'm sorry, was there any other old business anyone else wanted to bring up? Okay, we have time for public comment, any comments? Okay. The only other announcements and notable events is the next staff senate meeting will be December 4th at 10 a.m. And we'll have a guest speaker, and then we will do our workshop after that, so. Anything else? Any more questions? Anything else I forgot? Okay, I will call for the end of the meeting. Thank you all. I know it was super long, but I think we got some great information, and I appreciate our guest speakers, and I appreciate you all. So y'all have a wonderful afternoon.